Hey y'all, how's it going? I feel like we need an update video because things have not been going great for me, either in personal life or in YouTube. Last year, I started 2025 with a video talking about how, in order to avoid burnout, I was going to be slowing things down. I removed my weekly schedule so I wouldn't have deadlines to hold myself to. And I took the Let's Play content off of the main channel and put it on Ice Rider, partially so that it wouldn't clog people's feeds, and partially because that would mean I didn't really have to focus on that and could instead devote my energy to making the larger long-form videos, the stuff that I'm actually passionate about. But here's the thing. I didn't really take a break or slow down. If anything, I feel like I intensified the amount of effort that I put into this channel and tricked myself into thinking that I was taking things easy, all the while barreling faster and faster towards burnout. And the time to pay the piper has come. I am thoroughly burnt out, and it is almost entirely my own fault. Not only is this having a huge impact on my mental health, but it's also hurting the channel, as you can probably tell from the title and thumbnail combo. So the purpose of this video is twofold. I wanted to start with an update for people who are just interested in how the channel is going to function going forward, and then the second half is going to be a more free-form exploration of how we got here and my frustrations at factors both inside of and outside of my control. Okay, so first off, the biggest change, there's going to be less videos coming out from me, both on this channel and on Ice Rider. I've sort of unofficially been keeping myself to roughly one video per week, but I don't think that's a sustainable model. Instead, I'm kind of just gonna release videos as they get finished. If I get a bunch around the same time, I will schedule them to stagger things out, and if there's specific events such as holiday celebrations or just new news about Fire Emblem, I'm gonna make stuff that coincides with the timely thing. But besides that, don't be surprised if there's 2 or even 3 weeks between most videos. And I'm not just talking long ones like Navarre and Goto, but even the shorter sort of ROM hack reviews and whatnot. And as far as Ice Rider is concerned, the Let's Plays are also going to be slowing pace. Right now, I've got Myrmidon Emblem uploading, but kind of just sporadically. I put the first 6 episodes in the scheduled queue, and the others will sort of come as they come. But I'm not going to maintain release regularity like I was with other series, where it was like Path of Radiance on Tuesday and Thursday, or TMGC on Saturday. None of those schedules anymore. I am also thinking of stealing an idea from my good friend Casual Jacob and converting some stream series into Let's Plays by dividing up the stream VOD per chapter. I do want to, fairly early in the year, do a Hagen White 0% Growths playthrough, and I was thinking about potentially streaming that so chat could yell at me about how I'm making all these mistakes, and maybe chopping that up and putting it on Ice Rider. So, I don't know, just thoughts about how to potentially keep the content going while limiting my workload. But yeah, expect a lower quantity with hopefully the same or potentially increased quality. The other really big change is going to be something that mostly only impacts patrons and channel members. Previously, one of the main benefits for Patreon or YouTube membership is you get access to every video at least 7 days early, and oftentimes even earlier than that. Basically, whenever I finished a video, I would make it immediately available for patrons and members, and then it would only go public when it was scheduled to. But I made a commitment that it would always be available at least 7 days early. And I feel like that, again, pushed me into a lot of uncomfortable time constraint stuff. So, I am still going to be giving patrons and members early access to all of my videos, but I don't have a specific timeline in mind for them. This is particularly relevant as it comes to time-sensitive videos like holiday specials or anything that I want to get out in December for big AdSense. But it's also possible that if it's been a few weeks since a video goes up, I'm gonna want something to come out sooner instead of later. So in order to compensate for this change, I'm going to be including a lot more behind the scenes and partially done stuff on my Patreon. I already started experimenting with this for a few of my longer videos. I gave some audio clips for the Lords and Navarre videos to patrons, and I have a Radiant Dawn tier list I'm currently working on that I've uploaded Part 1 Dawn Brigade and Part 2 the Crimean Royals only for YouTube members and patrons to see. But starting this year, I'm going to dive much more into showing early glimpses at stuff like here's a graphic I made, or here's the audio recording that I have an attached video to, or even just partial tier list things. Like I'm also working on an FE4 tier list, and I'll probably release Gen 1 as an early peek for patrons. That way, the early access stuff isn't just limited by my ability to completely finish projects before they're released. The last major change, and this is kind of a good bridge into the second half of the video, is I'm going to be a lot less active in the YouTube comment sections than I used to be. I'll still look at and respond to things from time to time, in particular as it comes to new videos or new community posts, but I've come to realize that the YouTube comment section is not good for my mental health. I've never handled social media particularly well. I don't like the kind of person it turns me into, someone who's unnecessarily standoffish and argumentative. And I realized over the past month that the YouTube comment section is its own type of social media. I'd been in it because I wanted to moderate my community, especially since, as a trans woman online, I attract no small number of ridiculous bigots. And I want this community to feel like a safe space for y'all, so I went out of my way deleting things like transphobia, racism, and just general vile stuff. But unfortunately, that also means that I got exposed to all of that vile stuff, and it has impact. It's gotten me into a more argumentative and aggressive mood than I care to be in. But I still don't want the comment sections to become just a no man's land. The purge has been declared, so I've asked a few people that I trust to take on a moderation role, and they'll be deleting any sort of hate stuff that gets put in there. Like I said, I'm not going to entirely neglect the community comments, but if I don't respond to you, it's not because I hate you. I can't do YouTube comments anymore. It's not good for me. Especially because, at risk of offending my audience, the Fire Emblem community can be a very vile place sometimes. I'm not just talking about the fact that there are multiple sex pests the community defends writ large, but rather the way in which the community can dogpile and attack others over the smallest fucking things. You don't like Fire Emblem 7? Well, suddenly you're a worthless fucking idiot. Did you prefer Three Houses to SOV? You're everything that's wrong with the franchise and the fandom, and you're why video games in general are dying. In fairness, this isn't a problem exclusive to Fire Emblem fans. Gamers in general tend to tie the media products they like or hate strongly to their identity and moralize around anyone who disagrees with them. But given the fact that multiple people have emailed me death threats over the joke I made that Awakening #saved the franchise, I'm willing to bet that this behavior is more common in the Fire Emblem community than the Animal Crossing one. And my guess is that it relates pretty deeply to the debate-fueled origins of the FE community. For anyone unfamiliar, since each Fire Emblem game have large rosters with tons of characters that have different attributes, there would be debates people would host over which character was better than which. You know, Wade versus Vida, Meg versus Fiona, that sort of stuff, where everyone weighs their pros and cons, they get judged by a panel of peers, and a winner is selected. And this sort of thing can be fun if you're not taking it seriously. This is just anime chess after all. But it very much instilled the idea that a difference of opinion can have objective winners and losers. Then, at some point, the community glommed onto the term misinformation, applied it to every opinion they disagreed with, then suddenly the floodgates were opened. Just from lurking in a few Fire Emblem related discords, I've seen genuine harassment campaigns get organized over something as trivial as a bad character tier list. And the defense is always the same. This isn't harassment, we're stomping out misinformation. Misinformation must be eliminated. And while to my knowledge I haven't had any harassment campaigns organized over my FE takes, I have had to deal with a lot of personal insults for the crimes of liking Fire Emblem Fates, or disliking Fire Emblem 7, or even just something as trivial as saying Sane isn't an S-tier unit. And that shit wears on you over time. Shit, in 2025 alone, I think I got more requests to kill myself than there are days in a year. You try to have thick skin and shrug it off, but it does add up. Especially because, while I haven't gotten any harassment campaigns related to Fire Emblem, I am unfortunately dealing with a non-Fire Emblem harassment campaign. The origin of which was the video review I made on Mario Kart World. That video got picked up by the algorithm to a degree that I did not anticipate. It's currently sitting at over 100k views as my second most successful video, right after Who is the Worst Lord. At the time I was excited, I took it as a sign that this was a really good review, but in reality, it was just a timely one. I still agree with everything I said in the video, but I don't think it was particularly standout compared to the rest of my work. I just happened to get lucky in algorithmic success. But because my video went mainstream, I attracted the attention of a lot of people, and if you remember when the Switch 2 first came out, there were a lot of people angry about it, both Nintendo haters and Nintendo fans. So I got a lot of vitriol in the comment section from people who were mad I didn't give their favorite plumber racing game a 10 out of 10, and from people who were mad that I even bothered playing or reviewing the game for the channel. One of the most common arguments, and to be frank, one of the stupidest ones, was people saying that I'm not allowed to criticize the game because I purchased it. My response to this was to point out how ridiculous they were being, the old, you live in society and yet you criticize it, how curious. But in retrospect, I probably should have just let these people shout into the void, because unfortunately, by engaging with these people, I opened the door for a drama slop YouTuber to make me the next target of her audience's ire. She took these responses in isolation and used them to claim that I was saying people aren't allowed to criticize Nintendo unless they go live in the woods, and combined that with my disclosure that my copy of Mario Kart would be considered a business expense, which I felt was a relevant thing to disclose since much of the video centered on the game's price. And anytime we're talking about a subject as sensitive as money, I always want to be transparent so that people know any biases I may or may not have. But by taking those elements out of context, she's weaved together a 20-minute video where I am somehow flexing on people for not being able to afford Mario Kart, while also saying if you criticize Nintendo, you should go live off-grid, and throwing in some subtle transphobia just to keep it spicy. I genuinely do not know who watches these morons, but apparently enough people, because oh boy did it lead to wave upon wave of people deciding to tell me to go kill myself. And because this is an ecosystem that all just feed off of each other, there have been, to my knowledge, 5 different slop videos made about me. I'm not going to share what creators they are, and I would ask that if you encounter them in the wild, please don't harass the creators, just ignore them. But this is the big reason why I feel like I killed my channel. Ever since the Mario Kart video, all of my analytics have been doing very badly. Every video underperforms and pretty significantly. Stream views are also down, as is the amount of people in chat. And I can't help but wonder how much of this algorithmic harm has come from people who just pop in, leave a hate comment, and then immediately leave. On some level, I know that there are also factors outside of my control. Views have been suffering all across YouTube, especially for smaller YouTubers like me. I think it's got something to do with the algorithm being tweaked and the age verification stuff, and who knows what other AI-driven bullshit YouTube has going on behind the scenes. It could also be because, I swear, because despite what YouTube said, they are still flagging videos that have profanity in the first 8 seconds. And I've been doing this long enough that I know the algorithm is a fickle mistress. Sometimes things go wrong and there's nothing you could have done, but it's hard not to blame myself. You look at the numbers and it's all down arrows, and that creeping thought crawls into my brain. Everyone fucking hates you. It's almost as if the giant numbers and arrows that YouTube drives home into its creators' heads front and center are not exactly the best for our mental health. Although, this situation was certainly exacerbated by some stuff parallel to it in my personal life, wherein a misunderstanding spiraled into the ending of friendships and the general isolation of me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to throw a one-sided pity party here. I recognize that my argumentative nature was a big contributing factor to everything going on. And on some level, I know that I'm catastrophizing numbers that don't ultimately mean anything, but it's hard not to feel bad when the Goto video I worked on for over 6 months got less views than my wish list for the next Fire Emblem game. A video that took roughly 40 minutes to throw together. Like a good Jagan archetype, I have well and truly fallen off. But I don't want to end things on a downer, so I do want to share some of my plans for upcoming projects that will hopefully be started soon. As I mentioned, I kind of want to do a stream series of Hagen White 0% growths. I've also got a few tier lists coming up. Radiant Dawn, FE4, and FE1 are the ones that immediately come to mind. And I'll be continuing the Unit Rev View series into 2026, with the next candidate that my patrons voted for being Shura. We still have a few more archetypes to work on, and so I'm gonna give my patrons a poll to decide which of them will be the next big video. And I want to bring things back to basics, doing a few more short videos focused on queer issues. Partially because I really liked how the Leo and Forest video at the end of last year turned out. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. I'm really proud of that, and it just did not get picked up by the algorithm, so I'd super appreciate looking at it. I also want to make some more non-Fire Emblem content. I got early access to Escape from Ever After, the Paper Mario type game, and I'm hoping to stream my way through that, as well as knock out a review in time for its release later this month. I also started the Final Fantasy series recently, inspired by my love of FFT, and I thought it would be cool to make videos as I work my way through the series in numerical order. So right now I'm working on an FF1 video, and it's going to be focused on determining what is the best version of FF1, since there are sort of 3 different ones. The original NES, the Game Boy Advance remake that made a lot of mechanical changes, and then the Pixel remaster that changed things back closer to how they were on the NES, but didn't fundamentally bring us back to the janky old days. And I want to look at some newly released indies, because with the AAA space being as gross as it is right now, indie games feel like one of the better parts of gaming. But don't be surprised if any or all of those video plans end up getting abandoned. In the spirit of avoiding burnout, if I'm not enjoying a project or it's just not coming along how I want it, I'm more than willing to shelve it, either temporarily or permanently. Although, now that I think of it, getting access to those unfinished videos might be a fun bonus for patrons. And I do have one abandoned one I can put up on the website now, so yeah, fuck it, this is the call to action. If you want to see my abandoned video on good art made by bad people, there's a 3-minute clip of it up on Patreon right now. It's almost certainly never getting finished, because I realized I don't really have anything unique to say on the topic. But if you want a glimpse at my unfinished work, that's the way to do it. On that topic, let me thank my patrons. Thank you to Glup Shido, Electric Giga, Erica Ford, YLO1, George Granville the 7th PM, Jamie Collins, Arvis, Crispy Matthews, Floahay, Amy Hazel, Hungry Heart, Shinthia, Faulty Videos, Kyle Madison, Derek Williams, Anna Cabana, The Daily Foogle, Faye, Magic Bite, Thoughtful Insanity, Robin Goodfeller, JT Spritter, Ziggy WSB, Dysike, Chris, Root Beer Pants, Queen Elizam, Control Aegis, Roman Cormantic, Nick Knack Hammersmack, Carrier Has Left, Angel Nop Caceres, Zanwiff, Cy Rockin', Cabbage, SUP, Caius Cole, Bree, Punch Fighter Champion, Eggman, Maxine the Vampire Queen, Dragonback Lancer, Sardonic Muse, Zero Gamer, Femtal Illness, Wannabe Cinnabon, Punk Tattoo Guy, Key the Iron Idol, Calamity Callie, Jackson McMahon, Saren Gurlixy, Rezi, Andu, Rhea, Gameboo, Carosa, Firant, Your Doctor, Frozen Helm, Pat Witt, Pillow Willow, Girl Boss, Lizard Bongwater, Christopher Bueno, Marin McLean, Jaden, Dylan Solis, Forever Lucas, Some Trades, Guiji555, Smaz Ruby, Zycrom, Robin D, Alenby, Hound Dogs, They Thumb, Clan, and especially my Jagans, Your Best Friend 9000, Adele, Alexander Roper, Sensitive Luigi, Siggy, and Lil Man Man. If you want to join these names and get access to a bunch of bonus benefits, links down below. I feel like I've plugged it enough already this video. I also want to say, if you are one of my patrons and your name is not in these credits, please let me know, either on Patreon or on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I got the entire tally right, but Patreon changed some stuff in its back end, and so now the way that I used to check all of the names and who was active and who wasn't is no longer functional. So if anyone got dropped off, please let me know. I will add you back. It was not intentional. Okay, stay safe, gamers. Goodbye.